This Nigerian TikToker is making headlines after news of his death began to circulate. Oscar Brown, who has a following of over 500,000, was said to have been poisoned to death by a close friend. Some sources claim that it was his best friend that poisoned him. Some are saying it was someone close to him. Some people are just saying it was friends that poisoned him. Although no one has been mentioned, but I would think someone would have been mentioned at least, because for someone to be specific that it was his best friend or bestie that did this to him, how difficult would it be to identify that best friend? Is it that he had over 100 best friends? I just feel that regardless of the source or regardless of what is being said, the general notion is that a close friend did this to him. And I don't think it's because people know that for a fact. I just feel it's the incentive. The fact that for someone to be killed with food poisoning or for someone to have been poisoned to death, it has to be someone close to them who would have done it. Which also gives rooms for even family members, relations, cousins, siblings, uncles, aunties. But with the news circulating, it's almost as if people are very sure that it was a best friend or a close friend that did this to him. And I honestly can't imagine what his close friends and best friends would have to say, because clearly the world is accusing them of having a hand in his death. Another thing to put in mind is that this is like a trend, a common situation where a young person like him dies mysteriously, especially if it has to do with food poisoning. In the past, we saw a series of this kind of situations. We saw a series of these kinds of cases, especially in 2021 and 2020, there was a high rate of young boys like him who died mysteriously and who died from poisoning. And I think the fact that a lot of us remember some of those cases or were there during that period of time where we saw a group of boys dying from poisoning and it was assumed that it was their friends and close friends who did it to them. The fact that we remember those era kind of makes us feel like this might be the same situation, which is why I think a lot of people are saying a close friend or a best friend did this to him. Although as at this point, no one has been mentioned, no one has been identified, and you would think for someone to say his bestie did it, the bestie would have at least be pointed out, because honestly, that is a serious allegation. But this is what we know for a fact. This is as close as the truth can get. Now, I've heard some people talk about it, and I think I hear a particular user say that he was poisoned early this year in January, but went to the hospital and treated himself, and then they poisoned him again. So this so-called poison that killed him this last time is being said to be the second attempt for whoever wanted to kill him to do so. Just to be clear, the claim is that they had poisoned him before, but he survived it and they did it again and then they succeeded. However, according to a conversation I stumbled upon, a conversation between Oscar Brown and a friend, you could see him talk about how the poison that is affecting him currently is the same one from the last time. He said up there that poison since last year never come out finish. I don't nearly die like 3 nights again. So obviously the first food poisoning issue he had is belief, or is being insinuated right here with this conversation, that is what is still affecting him, which to me disputes the claim that he was poisoned twice. I guess from the first food poisoning, the effect of it is what probably continued and what lingered on and probably did not get completely cleaned out of his system. I'm not a medical practitioner, so I don't know how food poisoning works, but I don't think food poisoning lasts that long. I mean, it's been over 6-7 months since last year, so it's confusing to me that it's that same food poisoning incident he suffered last year that still lingered on up to this point to kill him. He said he died on the 23rd of May 2022. So I don't know how strong the food poisoning must have been to linger on, and he kept saying that he has gone to the hospital to do all the tests, but nothing, which would mean all the while he was still hale and healthy. He was making videos, he was making content, he was doing his own thing. I guess somehow whatever he was feeling the last time came back again. I feel maybe he has a medical history, or I feel like there is some kind of medical history that he might have that may have also played a role or added to the situation he must have been going through. It's not very clear. It's just hard for me to believe that it's the same food poisoning incident he suffered a year before that still killed him many months later. I guess that is why many people believe that he must have been poisoned again by whoever did it the first time. I guess that is why people assume that, and I understand that, and I guess that makes more sense. But let's assume that he was actually poisoned by a friend, because that is a very serious possibility. That is a very big possibility. I don't know him personally. It's hard to tell his kind of person. Usually from experience or from knowledgeable experience, the kind of people who usually get poisoned by friends, and that, you know, kind of people who are usually victims of this poisoning by friends are people with a lot of friend cycle, people who have many people around them all the time, people with group of boys, especially boys with a group of friends that are always in their environment, always in their space, always working with the gang. Those are the people usually susceptible to this kind of tragedy. Those are the people easily targeted, because you wouldn't know who would have done it, because all your boys, all your friends have access to your kitchen, they have access to your drink, they have access to your sleep. So it will be hard to know who would have done it, and it will be easy for anyone to poison that person because they can easily hide among the crowd of friends that the victim had. But looking at Oscar's Instagram, Facebook, and social media, he seems to be someone that is mostly by himself. I don't see a lot of gang of friends or plenty friends, which is why it's difficult to say a friend poisoned him, because if a friend actually did, the friend can easily be identified. He doesn't look like he has a large circle, if you ask me. He doesn't seem to be that way, but I'm not sure. Maybe he does in his real life and he doesn't put it on his social media. But if a friend did it, it should be easy to identify that friend, or at least narrow it down to at least 2, 3, 4 people and let them all give their speech, because they might know something. He also believes that someone actually is doing him, because when you look at the bottom side of this chart, you would see where he said, "In not too funny, if you dey close to me, you go see for your eyes, but God pass them." So the fact that he said God passed them, I have a feeling he too believed that someone did it to him. So if I were to look into this case myself, like if I was to investigate, or if I was like a family member who cares to find answers, that is if they believe someone actually poisoned him, I would start checking for someone who stands to gain from his death, someone who is going to gain more from his demise. Check his bank account, check his next of kin, check who, you know, who have access to his money, because for someone to want to kill him, I guess the person might want to take something or achieve something, unless of course it's a case of jealousy or envy or just plain hatred, because there are some people like that. So assuming he was actually poisoned by someone particularly, it's best to check for it. It's best an investigation is carried out. I hope the family chase an investigation. I hope the family look into it. I don't know however they're going to do it, but if they feel that someone killed him, I feel that they should try to find out who that person might be, and hopefully why. He was really young and promising, and I hear he had a very nice personality. So people who knew him said he was calm and really peaceful. So if someone did this to him, then it's a sad loss. And the person is most likely very close to him. The person is most likely in his small circle, as I imagine. So it shouldn't be difficult. I'm sure the person might even be crying the most, because that's how it is. These people, whoever have this capability to poison you, those are the ones who will cry the most. They're the ones who will post him the most. They're the ones who will weep the most, and they're the ones who get hurt the most. I really can't say much. This is just as far as we know from the outside, and there's not enough details stating about his story. But you know, let me know what you guys think. Do you think he was poisoned, or do you think, you know, this might have just been accidental food poisoning that might have not been instigated by somebody? Because let's be clear, food poisoning is a condition, and food poisoning can happen to people without someone instigating it. It's not everybody that dies from food poisoning that was poisoned by someone. So food poisoning actually exists on its own as a condition that can happen to anyone. Someone can eat gala and get food poisoning from it. That doesn't mean the people who make gala wanted to kill you specifically. So that is kind of like what I know, or what I've learned about food poisoning. So it's hard to tell if his situation was that medical condition or that generic food poisoning condition, or if someone actually poisoned him. And I feel in my heart of hearts, if someone actually did, it should be easy to spot that person. He doesn't look like he has a crowd of friends. So if a close friend did it, that person can easily be identified. I'm sorry, if it's a family member, whoever he eats from should be easily identified. I'm sure he doesn't just go around eating from everybody. So I just hope this has a resolution in the end. I'm hearing that his burial arrangement is being planned, so we just gotta pray for him and hope for the best. It's really unfortunate. He was a very good-looking young man and very promising and very talented, and I think I had seen a lot of his videos on my TikTok too, so it's hurtful to see one of our own die like this. I guess we just have to pray for him and pray for his family and hope they bear the fortitude of their loss. I guess that's how they say it. It's just painful. It's hard. It's really hard when young people like us just, I don't know. It's difficult making this video, honestly. So guys, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Do you think someone did it, or have you heard anything, or just let me know your thoughts about the story.